Hello, everybody. Welcome to REL Freedom, and we have a special guest today. And today we want to share a little bit about our story. So for those of you that don't know me, I'm Mike Swenson, and I am working on REL Freedom here. And I have my right-hand guy, my partner in crime, Justin Rademacher, here with me today. And we're going to take some time and we're going to share a little bit about my journey, our journey together as a team. I figured just for you guys to understand a little bit more about us and what we're doing and why we formed REL Freedom, why we have our real estate team, and really what we're trying to accomplish in real estate. So welcome, Justin. Glad to have you on board. And if you want to just give a quick little overview about you.
Yeah, I appreciate the intro. So I have a background previous to, partnering with Mike, more in the commercial world side of things in regards to real estate, leasing office space. But a lot of my background is really in investing in people, right? And helping other people build their business, whether it had been in the construction sales business or whether it was in, retail sales, whatever. I have an extensive history in that. And I found Mike, and this is the opportunity I've been looking for a long time. So really excited to be, around like-minded individuals. So appreciate that very much. So Mike, if you don't mind, should we just kind of jump into maybe a little bit more of your background, before you got into real estate, maybe what got you into real estate, and we can just kind of take it from there.
Yeah, so I graduated from college and I had a degree in entrepreneurship and finance. And I always tell people that, most of the classmates that I had when we graduated college, they all had businesses that they were going to start, businesses they were going to run, whether it was a family business or something they were going to do together with their buddies and figure out. And for me, the reason why I didn't start my own business is I just didn't want to take the risk. I grew up as a pretty risk-averse person, and the idea of starting my own business just frankly scared me. And this not having stability and that sort of stuff, I just couldn't take that risk. And so I actually added finance as a second major so that I could get a job, because I knew people at that time. So this is 20 plus years ago. Entrepreneurship wasn't as cool as it was back then. And so people didn't really know what it was. And I always joke about, I didn't even know how to spell entrepreneurship when I started majoring in it. And so I was going to major either in real estate, ironically enough, or finance. And I chose finance because I figured it provided a more stable income right out of the gate. And I always realized, I kind of figured I could get my real estate license in the future. So that's what I majored in. I actually started, I worked for a nonprofit right out of college. We did mission trips for churches all across North America. And I started in their finance department and worked there for a couple of years, and then moved over to kind of the operations side. So I was, helping to build systems, implement systems. We had 75 plus mission sites. We had, up to 38,000 youth that would go on our mission trips each year. And so it was handling all those systems, getting things into place. Things like, we had a fleet of, 80 vehicles that we had to monitor. And so taking care of those, how do you systematize that? So I was always building systems, implementing systems, and utilizing systems. And looked up and I wanted a different challenge. I wanted a little bit more opportunity. And so I'd always been interested in real estate and didn't know where to get started. I always thought that to me, being in real estate meant I had to be a solo agent. And, there's things that I like doing and there's things that I don't like doing. And I didn't like the idea of doing all the things I didn't want to do. I'm a natural introvert. Big time. So, going out and meeting people and rubbing shoulders with people I didn't know scared me. So I was introduced to a team where I could do all the back end systems and operations, which is really my sweet spot. And so for 6 years, then I took a real estate team from about a handful of agents doing 150 transactions to having teams in multiple states. I think at our peak, we had 50, 60 agents, and in 2019, we closed 619 transactions. And so being able to grow and scale that business from, the 400th team in our brokerage to actually the 31st largest real estate team in the United States was pretty cool. And so along the way, I learned a lot of skills that really helped me to launch the next phase of my career, which is launching my real estate team. In addition to what I'm doing at REL Freedom here. So, I kind of look at it in two chunks. My first 15 years and kind of out of college, 15, 16 years is to really help prepare me for what are these next 15, 16 years going to look like. And so I've had a chance to to see a lot of things, experience a lot of things, grow a lot of skills that are going to really be impactful here moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that gives, everybody watching and, even myself a little bit more of an understanding of kind of where your passion comes from, and how it's grown organically. Just even within the last year that I've known you, just watching that passion grow organically has been really fun to watch. And, honestly, it's contagious, right? A lot of the things that you were passionate about, I didn't even know about. And then I caught wind of them, right? And that's where I say it's really nice to be really around like-minded individuals, because you can feed off of each other, right? And so would it be safe to say, with REL Freedom, that your history with, your previous real estate team that you were part of, is that kind of what helped launch you, get your passion into, starting your own team and REL Freedom and things like that?
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of things that I've seen in the industry, not just with our team, but, rubbing shoulders with hundreds and hundreds of agents with different brokerages over the last handful of years. Yeah, there's a lot of things that I've seen that, frankly surprised me. Getting into real estate, I didn't know, or I assumed it was going to be a certain way, and it wasn't. So yeah, it's, I would say having that past experience, being a part of, large teams, networking with other people that run large teams and in all sorts of brokerages really helped set up, kind of the foundation here for this next phase in life.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, for today, I know there's three typical, three areas that you really want to focus on, right? In regards to kind of what your vision is and what our vision is and what we're building together. So do you want to maybe just dive into what those are and why they're important? And we'll just have an organic conversation.
Yeah. So I just want to share a little bit about, we talk about being in real estate and investing and what that looks like. So I just want to share a little bit of my past history with real estate investments. And so hopefully to encourage you guys, you don't have to have it all figured out. It's about taking your first step forward. You can't get to your 10th rental property until you get to your first, and then your second, and then your third. And to also encourage you, all of my, or I should say 99% of my experience with homes, fixing up, renting out homes, flipping homes, was before I even got in real estate. So I wasn't licensed. I was just a finance and entrepreneurship guy working for a nonprofit, and I was able to do this stuff. So just really want to encourage you, with all the tools and experience and people that you have at your fingertips, there's no reason that you can't get started with investments and getting that first property, or figuring out a plan of how to get to 10, 15, 20 properties. Because if somebody outside of real estate can do it, you can too. So for me, it really started, when my wife and I got married. We bought our first home, and it was a townhouse. We happened to be fortunate to purchase right at the end of 2006, which is, I tell people we got to ride the wave all the way down. And I was excited because when we bought a townhouse, it was only 2 years old, and we were getting it for a few $1,000s less than the people when they got it brand new. And so I thought, oh, we're getting a good deal, right? Remember, I don't have any real estate experience. Thought we got a good deal. Appraised for a few thousand higher, so we had some instant equity. Fantastic. So our plan was to be there for less than 5 years. So we got a 5-year ARM on our mortgage. The second mortgage was an ARM. And so we thought, hey, we're not going to be here for 5 years, so let's buy this, get a good rate on the ARM, and move forward. And, over the next 5 years, I got to watch as many of the units in our complex were short sales or foreclosures. And I remember talking to my next door neighbor as he's basically saying, yeah, I can't afford it anymore. The prices went down, and I'm getting kicked out next month. And, for me, I had to have a decision. Do I just do that same thing and just bail? Or do I stick it out? And so for me, I decided to stick it out. And, we were at that time probably, some of the units were selling for half what we bought it for. And I knew it was going to be a long way before we could get back to break even on this. And so we continued to make payments, and we just hung on. And unfortunately, I didn't have an opportunity to buy some of those other units to be able to have some other investments. But we just wanted to stay above ground on the unit that we had. So we lived in there for just short of 5 years. And I looked up and I said, hey, is there a way that we can get another house and yet still rent this out? And so fortunately, we found a renter. My wife had somebody at her work that was looking to rent a townhouse. And so that helped move us on to the next property. And I should say in the meantime, we actually did a flip and a hold. And so it was an investment property that we bought for a great price. It was kind of the bottom of the bottom in a neighborhood that needed a lot of work. And so we fixed it up, and we actually sold it for 120% more than what we bought it for. This was about 18 months afterwards. So we rented it out. My brother-in-law was one of the renters. We found another renter. I posted it on Craigslist, found a great person that wanted to rent out this house. And so for a year and a half, we fixed it up, rented it out, and then we flipped it. And so, we obviously put a bunch of money into that, but what ended up happening is we took the proceeds from that sale and we paid off all of my student loans. So, if you figure now we're about 5 years into our marriage, my student loans are gone, and we're looking to get another house. And so that helped us to buy what was then a short sale. So we knew nothing about short sales. It was still a pretty fluid market. And thankfully, we had a great agent that helped navigate that for us, and got a good deal on a short sale. So it was a house. I had a background in construction. I should mention I helped frame houses, townhouse units, for the most part in college. And so I did that for 3 years. So I took that experience and we bought a short sale and we fixed it up. And over the course of 3 years, we sold it for almost just shy of 40% more than we bought it for. And, a way to be able to use some of my skills and experience in construction. It was fun for us. People always used to joke with us, what house project are you working on now? Because we like to do that. And so that gave us some equity, right? As a chance to move into the next home. So then 3 years after that, like I said, we sold it. We moved on to another house. That house we lived in for 6 years. And after 6 years, we sold that for 43% more than we bought it for. And we got some more equity in that. And so I was able to use that experience just to continue to grow and accumulate a little bit of wealth, accumulate a little bit of wealth, accumulate a little bit of wealth. And then on the other hand, what's been happening is we still had this townhouse. We still were renting it out. And finally, after about 12 years, so now just 2 or 3 years ago, that value returned to more than what we bought it for. Now, we've had a ton of mortgage payments on that to be able to pay it down. At some point, we refied from a 30-year to a 20-year. And so now we have, less than 10 years left on the mortgage, and we have a lot of equity in that. So it's one of those things where it doesn't have to be this huge glamorous thing. It could be little step, little step, little step. Now, we've made a handful of little steps over the last 15 years, and it's earned us equity in our current house that we live in. Thankfully, it's not a fix. After adding 3 boys to the family, I don't have the time or the energy to live in a house that I'm working on all the time. And yet we've had the equity in this house, and now we have a rental that is paid us back in a lot of equity over the years. And so it doesn't have to be glamorous; it just has to start with something. And that's how we were able to turn 15 years with a little bit of blood, sweat, and tears to be able to build up a little bit of a nest egg there on the home side.
Well, and I like what you said too, is the one thing that just stuck out to me is it doesn't need to be glamorous. You just need to start, right? And I think that's where a lot of people could potentially go wrong, right? They're so focused on, we talk about this a lot, done is better than perfect. Start, because if you don't start, it's not going to get done, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And it's one of those things where, it takes time. Like if you plant a tree, it takes time for it to grow. And so, for some people, they might jump in and say, I want to, do 3 flips this year, 5 flips this year, or 10 buy and holds in the next 2 years. Like you can go at it aggressively, and yet you're going to learn a lot of things from time 1 and time 2 as well. And so, yeah, just get started. But yeah, it's absolutely shaped where we're at today and our financial position as a result of that, just by doing a little bit. And like I said, except for the last sell that we had last year, all of this was done before I got into real estate.
Yeah. And so, if this is resonating, I'm just thinking on somebody who, has been thinking about trying to create this passive income, which is kind of what we're talking about here, but they just don't know where to start. I know you have a lot of experience with this, a lot of knowledge. What would you recommend?
Taking a look at, so it's a combination of, finding something that fits for you and what your goals are. And then it's finding the financing. There's people out there that are willing to invest. You may not have to put any of your own money into it. And so it's finding a lender that works, or finding financing that works. It could be friends and family. potentially, or find a great lender. And it doesn't have to be that lender that knows the answer, but they might know of somebody that does. And so you're not going to get an answer unless you ask. And so that's where I would encourage people just to start asking, start looking at things. And for me, with our flip that we did, I've told some people in the past, like for me, it was, I looked at my drive from work to home every day, and I looked at what would be some great investment properties along my drive, because my wife was in getting her master's degree at the time, and I didn't want to have to drive somewhere way out of the way. So I would, go to work, I'd pack my tools in my car and a change of clothes. And on my way home, I would stop off and work for 2 or 3 hours at night while she was either at class or studying. And then I would drive home. And on the weekends, we would have some help from friends and family that would come and help out. And we just chipped away and chipped away. So, that's where, you can't get to done unless you start. And so really it's just finding a way to start, looking at some properties, looking at the rents in the area. I knew in both of these cases, with our townhouse and with this flip, I looked at what the rents are in the area. I ran the numbers. I looked at what the mortgage payment would be. I looked at what the rent was coming in, and I said, okay, I can take a calculated risk here. And then I also ran some scenarios of what if it didn't work out? Would I continue to lose money or not? And same thing with the contract for deed. I was just probably at that time a 26-year-old kid, and our agent had talked to us about, hey, I've got an investor that might want to buy this house and do a contract for deed. So I spent some time and I looked into it, and I researched it. I ran the numbers, and I looked at, okay, if this person, were to fault on the loan at this point, would I still be in the black? And I kind of looked at month by month, over the course of that payment period, would I still be okay? And I thought, hey, I'd continue to be okay. At that point, I was also helped by the fact that the market was kind of bottomed out and it was on its way back up. So I don't think the homes could have went down much more. But it's all about starting, right? And like I said, this is just, young 20-something Mike, not in real estate, figuring it out. And so if I can do that, obviously, if you're in the real estate industry, you have access to all these tools and resources and the MLS and great vendor relationships. You should be able to line something up pretty quickly if you're willing to jump over and make that risk.
Yeah, absolutely. My biggest takeaway from what you just started talking about, if I were to just kind of lump it up into one word, would be leverage. To get started, just go find your leverage, whether it be financing, whether it be time leverage, whatever that looks like for you, just go find that leverage so that you can get started. So, and I know there's essentially 3 different topics, and that was the first one. We talked about your personal investments. And so let's move on to the next one, in terms of the 3 area of focus for Real Freedom. And what, for the purposes of our discussion today, what would be the next next category that you want to discuss?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, for my wife and I want to encourage everybody. You have to get in the habit of saving money, right? And so I was fortunate enough. I took a money management class in high school, and I learned about the time value of money, right? That when you save and invest $1, it's going to grow over time. And so there's other concepts we can talk about in the future, but I just knew at the very least I had to save early and save often. And so when I got my first job right out of college, I started saving, and I was fortunate enough to be at a company where they gave me a matching contribution, and they also had a profit share, was kind of what it was classified as, even though it's a nonprofit, but they made contributions to the employees each year, to the point where, when I was first starting out, I was making less than $30,000 a year in my first job. And I was still saving what would be accounting at roughly 20 to 25% of my annual salary through my contributions, the match, and this profit share distribution that was paid out as well. So 20 to 25% of my salary, even though my salary wasn't much, it helped build the muscle of saving. And so I did that year over year. And so as we got older and as we added kids and insurance costs, it gets a lot harder to do, but it's easy to start with something. So we started there. When I got into real estate and I no longer had a 401k that I contributed to, we just upped the giving upped the contribution on my wife's side. So my wife is putting away 20% of her paycheck every month. And it's one of those things where out of sight, out of mind. I can't give that advice enough, that you need to find a way to get it out of sight, out of mind, and automate it, because otherwise you're going to spend it if you have it. So you got to get it out of there. So I always say you can't see the money or get used to having it. So what I would do is I would set up, if I had on our payroll system, if a payment was coming in the 15th of the month and the last of the month, I would set up, I had a high yield savings account. High yield is in quotations, because what's really high yield in terms of a savings account, but still it's better than what the bank gave you. But I would set it up where if my paycheck was going in the 15th of the month, the 16th of the month, I had an amount going into this savings account. So it was out of sight, out of mind. And I would do that middle of the month and the end of the month. And I did that month after month, year after year, to where now I've been doing that for over 15 years. The money hits the account and I set aside a certain amount that was going out. And then every couple months I check it, I can move it, I can do other things with it. If we, had a car that we wanted to pay off, I would take some of that money. If we wanted to invest it in another area, I could do that. But it was a way to build a forced savings plan to be able to do that. So that was in addition to our 401k contributions. The other thing is I've done that with our kids' savings accounts, setting up the automatic withdrawal. I have an investment account that I've used. I set up the automatic withdrawal. Every month the money's just coming out. And what I would do is every 3, 5, 6 months, I would reassess our income and our expenses. And I would look at, can I raise that up a little bit? If it's $100 a month, could I go to 150? Or if it's $50 a month, can I go to 75? So it's just start with something, and the nest egg can't grow unless you do something about it. And so start small. And there's times where I've had to increase it, and then we have a kid and we have a bunch more expenses, or our insurance costs come up quite a bit to be able to pay for that kid. So there's times where I've lowered it a little bit. And yet having that habit of forced savings over 15 years has allowed us to put a lot of money out of sight, out of mind, that we've used in various ways over the years. So that would be, kind of on the finance side. It's great to have an income, and yet you also have to get in the habit of savings. You have to be in the habit of spending less than you make every month. And that's just time on task over time. It's going to continue to grow so that you can find fun ways to spend that money. But if you don't have that money, there's nothing fun that you can do with it, and you're just accumulating more debt. So that's been another key pillar for us in our financial situation over these last 15 plus years, is just forced savings, moving it out of the account, and just being consistent with that. And, to be able to be in a habit where, like I said, to have 20% of a paycheck go out of there to where I don't even see it. Now we're just spending the money that's there. And we know that we're growing our savings by getting it out of our sight, out of our mind.
Yeah. It blows my mind, when you were talking about how fresh out of college, your first job, you were only making, 30,000, whatever it was, I think a lot of us can relate, right? A lot of us have been in that situation ourselves, myself included. That's about what I was making fresh out of college, right? And it blows my mind that you were able to still put away, 25% roughly of that through a variety of different avenues and working smarter, not harder. And so for those people that are maybe still, they're watching this and they're in that current situation, I think it provides a little bit of hope and a little bit of, I can do this. I just need to get started. So if you were to say, let's say I'm somebody who's I'm not putting any money away. I'm making $30,000 a year. I want to start putting some money away. I want to start creating something for my future. What would you say, in your professional expert opinion, what would be the very first thing they should start doing if they're not doing anything?
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be professional or expert. It's just, there's a couple of great savings accounts that you can have, online savings account. I know Ally Bank is one. I also, having been in kind of the finance blogging world a little bit over the past few years, I know there's a lot of, most folks, I shouldn't say most, that's probably generalizing, but there's a lot of folks out there that recommend, Ally Bank or Capital One has a Capital One 360 savings account. Either one of those are great online tools. And all you have to do is just sign up for an account. You don't need to have any money in there. You just sign up for the account and you set up that account, and then you tie it to your bank account. So I have a different bank that we use, and I just set up those accounts, and you can link the account. And so once you link the account, you can set up. It's so automated these days. It's so dialed in. You could pick what day of the month, what amount you want to go out, and do you want that to be repeating? So that's where I said, I have one thing where on the 15th of the month, pull this amount out from my checking account into this online savings account. And you can even have multiple online savings accounts. So I used to have one for car savings. So then we continue to contribute to that. So after we pay off a car, we would save for the next car. I had another one where it was at one time it was a vacation account where a certain amount of money each month would go into that. And then when we had a certain amount, we'd go on a vacation. Or it could be, down payment on the next house. When we were looking at our next house, I had another account set up as a down payment. So I would have, if you could picture the 15th of the month, 3 different contributions were going from my checking account into these forced savings accounts is kind of what I'd call them. And then same thing on the 30th of the month or the 31st of the month, that same thing happens. And so, yeah, go set up an account at one of those 2 institutions, link it to your bank account, and pick an amount that you can figure out that you can live without, and just start somewhere, right? $25 a month, do it 2 times. If you get paid 2 times a month, or if you get paid 1 time a month, or if you have 5 closings a month and you get paid 5 times a month, just set it up, pick an amount and start there, and then see if you can slowly start to grow that. Does $25 go to $35? Does $25 go to $50 or $100? Or, and then you can always do a one-time contribution, right? So I do the forced stuff to just get it out so I don't have to think about it. And then if I had a great month or something big came in, then I move that money out as fast as I can. And then the other thing that we were smart with is anytime we had a pay raise, I would take half of that pay raise and just increase that contribution. So I'd only feel half of the pay raise. The other half was just increased savings into those accounts.
Yeah, I'm learning a lot, right? And I'm taking a lot of mental notes down here. And the common theme here for me that I'm hearing from you is just start. Just get started. If you're not doing anything, just start somewhere. Again, done is better than perfect. I know transitioning into the third topic here that you want to talk about, I think will help wrap and pull everything together. But let's talk about that next category that you want to talk about and discuss.
Yeah. So I think the third piece of my life then that I'm looking at, where can I spend a lot of attention? It's on, I'm calling it kind of your time and your skill investments, right? So I've had a great opportunity to learn from a lot of great people, both before real estate and in real estate. And so what I'm choosing to do here moving forward is to really invest in people and in systems, and also people systems, which I'll talk a little bit more about. But it's teaching people how to think. And so on our team, we're always talking about how can you work smarter versus harder. How you invest your time really matters. And so that at some point there's a kind of a law of diminishing returns. And so you have to figure out, how do I break through some of those plateaus to where I can scale my business and scale my income? So, I was fortunate to have 6 years where I was able to help team owners. In my role on the operations side, I help team owners, recruit, onboard, train, and help their agents succeed. And those were for their businesses. And so, I woke up and looked up and I said, hey, I've helped a lot of people build their businesses. It's time to help build our business. And so that's where I decided to launch a team, and I wanted leverage, right? And so I could be the person that does all the things and hire all the people. And I wanted to stay in my sweet spot, which is setting up systems and setting up the back end. So I found a great person in Justin that we were like-minded. I think that we had a vision for where we wanted to go in our future. We both have big aspirations, and I paid for that leverage, right? I could have done it myself, and I realized I don't want to do all those things, and I'm not the best person to do it. And so I found Justin, and Justin and I have really worked well together. And I look at it as, I essentially got my, think about your experience in something as an education as well, right? So my time at my previous brokerage and my previous team was essentially an MBA in building systems, building businesses, scaling businesses, and helping people to succeed. And so I took that education and I'm moving forward with it and applying those things for our team. And one of the things that I've had the opportunity in real estate, I've seen that So many times people get into real estate. I joke with people, the beauty is anytime you want to start a conversation with somebody and they know you're in real estate, they always say, "Oh, I've thought about getting into real estate." Who hasn't at least thought of getting into real estate? And what happens is so many times they want freedom and they want the unlimited income. And what they don't realize is that it takes a sacrifice to be able to make the income that you want to make. And so many times people get into real estate and they're showing up just like it's a job, or not even a job, right? If it's, if we're being real honest, they're not spending the same amount of time they would as if they were hired for a 40-hour-a-week job. And they look at it and they're short-sighted in their thinking. So I want to encourage people, think about the future as you think about your career in real estate. And this could be whether you're an agent, whether you're an admin, whether you're a lender, whatever that path is in the real estate industry, have that long-term picture of what you can build over time. And so what I encourage people is, don't think of it as, if I'm going to make $50,000 this year in my first year as an agent, that is not the same as $50,000 working at some corporate job. Because what's going to happen 2 years from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now in that corporate job? You might get a 2% cost of living increase. You might get a promotion. You might make an extra $5,000 next year, but it's going to be pretty incremental in most cases. Think about your first couple of years in real estate as your education in real estate to build massive wealth long term. You have to have that long-term mindset. So don't think of year one as, oh, I made just as much as I made in my previous job, or I made half as much in my previous job, because what you're selling yourself short on is thinking, what can I make 2 years, 5 years, 10 years from now? You could double your income every year for 5 years. There's agents out there, there's teams out there that have done that. And so don't sell yourself short on year one or year two, because all the fruit that's going to come is going to be 3, 5, 10 years down the road. And so think about it long term. Think about it as you're building a business, right? These are assets that are going to pay off for you later in life. So your database, when you're talking with your database, these are people assets, right? They're people that like, and trust, and they know, like, and trust you. And that's going to pay off over time, right? You're building great relationships for 5 years, 10 years down the road. And so, the other thing is if you sell a house this year and you did a great job, it might take 7 years before that person moves again, so you have to stay in the business long enough to reap those rewards. So think long-term about that. You really have a front row seat, anywhere you are in real estate, a front row seat to be able to have these resources available to you. The MLS, you can look up any property and see what it sold for, when it sold. You can look at trends in a neighborhood you want to live in. These are all things that I've done. A place that we wanted to move to, I had a search set up of all the neighborhoods for 3 years. So I knew every house that sold in that neighborhood. Like that's stuff that you just can't put a price on in another industry. And I always tell people, if you were working as a stock trader, that would be called insider trading, right? And that would be illegal. And you could go to jail for a long time for insider trading. Here in real estate, you could know all the information you need to know about neighborhoods, sales, who's paid what. You've got great lender relationships to learn about the financing piece, the numbers, and all that is for your benefit. And so this isn't like, in the stock world where you could get arrested for insider trading. You have all the insider tools, so use them to your advantage to help you build wealth. And the other thing I would encourage people on is, don't compare your beginning to somebody else's middle, or end. You might look up and you see an agent that has more success than you, and you think, oh, I just can't do it. That's because they're further along the road than you. Or if they start out in real estate and they have great success, maybe they had some more transferable skills along the way. Maybe they had a bigger network than you, and that's okay. You have time to still go build that network. So having that long-term vision is really important. I've also seen people, they tend to broker shop or team shop, right? Like, I could go get this split here, I could get this split here, or this cap here, or that cap there. And what they're doing is they're selling themselves short, because what you lose is, I kind of say it's, like if you were running around from brokerage to brokerage or team to team or whatever with a backpack on, you're just kind of thinking, well, I can carry my business with me. But what you don't realize is you're having to stop, right? Like all your people in your database, you're having to stop that, move somewhere else, plug into a new set of systems. That stuff takes time. And so every time you jump ship and you move and you move and you move, or eventually you get out of real estate, you haven't had a chance to see the fruit grow, right? Like I'm putting the seeds in, I'm watering it, and then I'm like scooping up the roots to go put in another plant. And then I go water it a little bit more, and then I scoop up the roots and I go put it in another plant. Well, that plant's not going to grow as quickly as if you just leave it, put your roots down and grow. So have that long-term vision for your real estate career.
Yeah, and for me, the biggest thing, my takeaway from what you were just saying too is, and what I'm really, really excited and passionate about is how we are helping. We could feed people, or we could teach them how to fish, right? So you could feed somebody fish. Everybody's familiar with that story, right? Or you could teach them how to fish, and that's what I'm excited about. What you and I here are building is we're teaching people how to go out and fish and build their business. And I like to say, build a predictable, sustainable business, because both are equally important, right? So I'm really excited about that. And I'm really excited that we're like-minded in that sense, right? And I think it's really important how you were talking about, really setting roots down and building those roots. I think is crucial, because in this industry, there's a lot of turnover, right? And I think people just either don't stay where they're at long enough, or they don't stay in the business long enough. And I think that's absolutely crucial and a great point.
You've got to let some time for the flower to bloom a little bit, right? And that doesn't mean that you can't switch. And yet, somebody really wise once told me, what if you treated the opportunity you're in as the best opportunity for you at that time? Instead of looking at the grass is greener over here, show up in a way where this is my best opportunity right now. And if I nail it here, it'll provide me more opportunities in the future. But too many times people just treat it like I can jump, and you're selling yourself short. So and that opportunity also means knowledge, connections with people. It's not just the financial piece of what dollar is coming in, but it's who you surround yourself with. That stuff really matters as well. And then the other thing too is, if you think about it, you can make what a great paying doctor or lawyer can make in real estate. But what happens for a doctor or lawyer, right? Like, they have to spend years and years going to school, hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt in many cases, and you may not even see your first income until you're 5 years, 10 years down the road, right? So you're doing all of those things. In real estate, what's it really costing us? Less than, at least in Minnesota, less than $1,000 in 90 hours of my time. And now I have the opportunity to go make what that person can make. And so don't be surprised if it takes you a little bit longer to make that, because you really haven't had much of a commitment there. They're spending 5-10 years of their lives and hundreds of thousands of dollars to invest in their future. And we get frustrated after 3 months if we don't have a closing, or if we only have one closing or two closings, or after my first year, I didn't make as much as I made in my previous job. Well, guess what? It might take a little bit more time to learn a completely new industry, and that's okay. Think about your 10 years from now, your 20 years from now, what that's going to look like. So have that mindset. The other thing that really excites me, as we think about the long haul, I look at it, my role in a couple different spots here. One is my role in REL Freedom, right? Like, why am I here to help those of you listening or those of you watching, whether it's now or in the future on YouTube? I want to inspire you guys in real estate, whichever spot you're in, to be able to tell stories of people that are in the industry, helping you find maybe your next step. And so I'm looking for a diverse group of people, whether that's different spots in the industry, different brokerages, different mindsets, whether it's, customer facing or back end facing. I want to just provide a lot of stories for you guys, to find something to inspire you. Not every story is going to inspire you the same way as others, but I just want to provide a diverse background of stories to be able to share with you. I'm going to continue to talk about, money and wealth building. And if that's not your natural fit, that's okay. Plug into the group as much as you can, and eventually something's going to click. You're going to pick up a tip here. You're going to pick up something there. So I'm committed to you guys here at REL Freedom to continue to talk about money, talk about wealth building. And for those of you that want to run with it, great. For those of you, it might take 6 months. It might take 12 months for you before stuff starts to click. That's okay too. I'm going to continue to provide training and resources for you guys, people that you can connect with. This is a community of people. So if you're looking for a lender, ask. Post in the group, ask about that. If you have a certain question that you want to know, ask it in the group, right? Like, we're here to help each other on this journey together, and it's a safe space, right? Because it's all brokerages, all roles, anything in real estate. We're here to connect with each other. And then two, for those of you that want some accountability to hit your year-end goals, or as you're thinking about next year for goals, I'm here to be a coach for you. You're never going to take something as serious as if you're paying somebody to help you to do that, right? And that's the value of coaching. So, if you want to get serious about your next financial step, give me a call. Let me know. Let's set up an exploration call, and we can talk about what that looks like. And I guarantee you, the amount that you're paying for coaching is going to be dwarfed into the amount of what you're going to save when you start to watch your finances, when you have to talk to me about your finances, or as you have to talk about your future goals. Your income's going to go up, right? Your investments are going to go up because we're talking about it together. So if you're just looking for that person that you can share and that you can have that accountability with, I'm going to be here to coach you to your goals that you want to achieve financially. And we'll talk about how that's possible. So that's really how I see Real Freedom fitting into your lives as most of you guys here listening and watching. In addition to that, just so you kind of know a little bit more about how I'm wired and how Justin and I are wired together on a team, I'm just going to share with you a little bit about our team too, and how we're helping people to think differently in real estate, right? So an agent comes on our team, and we're going to talk about the fundamentals, right? Like, we're going to talk about your database. We're going to talk about what does your daily activities look like? How can we track that? What scripts are you going to use? All that stuff is important. And yet most teams talk about that in a certain way, right? Some teams have great leverage that you can use for listings and transactions and all that kind of stuff. And so there's that. In addition to that, though, our team, we talk about how you show up like a business owner, right? That's not something that every team's going to talk about. Some do, which are fantastic, but we're going to talk about that. You are a business partner with us, and how do you leverage the systems and the tools and the people that we have in place for you to grow your business? And the cool thing is the brokerage that we're aligned with, you have the opportunity, if you want to go start your own team, or if you want to go off on your own and be a solo agent after you've been on our team for a while, happy day. I love it. I'm excited to see somebody grow, and it's mutually beneficial for both of us to do that as well too. So if you want to be on our team, fantastic. If you want to stay at the brokerage and go do your own thing, fantastic. We'll help you do that. And so that's the beauty of the alignment that we have. And so we want to see you grow. And it's not, oh, shucks, this person left our team. It's great. This person is launching into the next phase of their career. And that's really impactful. And we're going to encourage you to do that. And we're going to help you with those next steps. Justin and I will put together a plan to launch you into the next phase of your career. That's how we want to see you succeed. In addition to that, we're going to talk about how to build long-term wealth, right? So all the things that we've kind of been touching on a little bit here with my story, we talk about the cash flow quadrant, right? For those that haven't read Robert Kiyosaki's book on cash flow quadrants, we talk about that stuff. We talk about your mindset, not just short-term mindset, but long-term mindset. We're talking about business structure. How do you set up your business, whether it's an LLC or whatever that looks like for you as a 1099 contractor on our team, and then tax planning stuff around that. I just had a great opportunity to take part in a great tax planning webinar the other day, and we learned a lot of great things, which I'm going to share with the team, right? So it's this long-term stuff that we're talking about too, your dollar per hour activities and how you can grow that. In addition to that, another thing I'm really excited about is we're talking about building different streams of income long-term, right? That's not just about buying and selling real estate. We're helping you to grow your wealth through being a part of our team. So, we have a program where we've partnered with Legal Shield and ID Shield to implement into our business in a RESPA compliant way so that we can add real value to your clients and also give an opportunity for you to earn some additional money. So the vision that we're setting for ourselves for the people on our team is, what if 3 years from now, Mr. or Mrs. Agent, you were making enough money in a different stream of income here to where all of your agent commissions were just bonus money on top of your living expenses. Or, if you knew that your car payment, your food, and your rent or your mortgage payment were taken care of every month, what more can we do for you? How do we help you invest that difference and really go and build some wealth? So if you're in real estate and you haven't heard about Legal Shield or ID Shield, you absolutely need to reach out to me. It's super important that you at least learn and understand what it is, because I think it's a game changer. big time for you. And so find out how you can add these little value add pieces to your team so that they can grow long-term income.
For you, I know that the Legal Shield thing has already been a game changer, right? And you're experiencing some of the benefits of that too. So I'm excited about how excited you get about this topic and what we're building, because I think, success is sequential, right? When one person has success, too, it compounds itself, but what it also does is it inspires other people. I know it's inspired me. I know it's inspired some other people on our team, and that's really exciting. So I would say if you have no idea what Mike is talking about, you're at a really good spot. What you should do is, if you're wondering about what that next step is, reach out to Mike or myself, and we can help you with what that next step is.
Yeah. Yeah. And the other thing too, I mean, the vision, if we're talking about an agent, in 3 years being able to take care of their living expenses, what if you as a team owner were able to take care of all your fixed expenses in your real estate business through this opportunity that Legal Shield and ID Shield can provide, to where any closing that happens may have a little bit of a variable cost associated with it, but maybe that's just profit too. And so for you as a team owner, you can benefit in a big way too. So there's a lot of different things that we can do. And that's just one stream of income, right? So some of the other streams of income that we have is, part of our brokerage, we have an opportunity to take part in a revenue share program, right? So, we help agents succeed. We help agents have closings, and the brokerage helps to pay us for that, right? And so that's an awesome benefit. They also have stock options that they award to us, to the point of where, if I'm being honest with you, Justin, I get an email saying, hey, you've been given some stock. I don't even know what I did sometimes to be able to get that. And I'm doing nothing different that I did or that any real estate team owner would do. And yet now we just have the option or they gift us stock for stuff. There's also a stock purchasing program, forced savings, right? Just like I talked about in the past. I can now save money or invest money into a stock at a discount through part of my closings. It's out of sight, out of mind. I only see the money that hits my bank account. And what I don't understand is 5% of that is going to buy and purchase additional stock, right? That's an additional investment for us. So showing our agents how to take advantage of that. Also, we have, we're talking on our team, how can we help people with real estate investments? We talked about my story, and yet I want everybody on my team to have a story if they want it in terms of real estate investments. So we'll help you. We'll reach out to vendors to help you with financing. We'll help you pick properties or find your buy box that's a fit for you. So we'll walk through all that stuff for you. So, for us, and this is, I'm sharing what we're doing on our team, not really as a recruitment, but it's also as a way to inspire you. If you guys are in real estate, if you have a team, if you're part of a different industry, say a lender, title company, how are you inspiring your people in your company to take advantage of some of these opportunities in real estate too? So talk to me. I'd be happy to share this stuff with you so you can take it to your own team. It's not just about my team. It's about helping people in real estate build wealth. And so that's where I'm just sharing, this isn't like I said, this isn't a recruiting pitch of why you should join my team. It's here's what I'm doing to help inspire others. Because Justin, you and I talk about, part of it is bringing people in, part of them is getting into production, and then part of them is helping them long term. And that's really the kind of the end cap on my investment in people is how do we help people? If I showed up at a job and I made some money and I went to a different industry, like what do I really have to show for it at the end of the day? And so I'm passionate about, I want people that are part of my world to have something to show for it. So Justin, you and I are in business together. And if, a year from now or 2 years from now, an opportunity comes up and you have to move away, I want you to be able to say, I have more to show for this as a part of being a part of Mike's world and Mike's team than when I started. And so that's my commitment to everybody in our team is how do we have them to where they can leave knowing I've gained wealth or I've learned something that's helping me in my wealth building approach as a result of being a part of this team. One other thing that I just want to add is, when you're a part of our world, I really believe that, we're all built for something great, and I'm not going to allow people to sell themselves short, right? part of being a great coach, right, is you believe in somebody more than they probably believe in themselves. And so that's something that I'm excited about, is I know everybody listening to this can implement something that's going to change their world. It's going to change the next step in their career trajectory. And so if you need a pep talk from me, reach out to me, because I believe in you, probably, for some of you more than you believe in yourself. And I'd be happy to pep you up and give you an encouragement so that you can go on and tackle that next obstacle you're going after. And for me, what keeps me motivated is, I listened to a podcast that was very inspiring a couple years ago, and they talked about this person's biggest fear was getting to the end of their life and meeting the person that you could have been. And so that's always been something that struck a chord with me, as I sit back and I think about it and I visualize what would it be like, pretend I'm, hopefully 80-year-old Mike, or, 90-year-old Mike, whatever that looks like. And I go and I meet the 90-year-old Mike that did everything right and, is the person that I could have been. And I see that gap. That's the piece that really sits with me, is seeing that gap of who could I have helped that I didn't? What are the risks that I didn't take that I maybe missed out on? The people, like I said, that I could have poured into that I didn't, the relationships that I could have had that I didn't. And I'm not perfect in any means. There's a lot of stuff that I know that I'm not good at. There's a lot of stuff that I want to improve on. There's a lot of things that I can get better at. So thankfully, I'm not there yet. But I'm really approaching life with a new sense of passion, a new sense of adventure, and a new sense of urgency, right? I think this period of our lives has showed us that business changes, outside circumstances changes things, and we may not have the time that we thought to pivot and put our ducks in a row for the future. And so, I'm also taking more risks than I have in the past, right? The guy who never used to take risks poured all in and went all in on building this team and building this REL Freedom community to be able to bless people in the future. So, I'm certainly not the same person that I was a couple years ago. I'm absolutely not the same person I was as when Justin and I first met. And these last 9 months here have really shaped me. But it's just been a phase of massive growth for me. And I'm excited about the future. I'm excited about, Justin, who you are and how much you've grown and who you're becoming and how many more people we can impact in the future, both on our team and in the real estate community through REL Freedom, right? It's not about us. It's about helping people build wealth and really grow through being a part of the real estate community, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited about, I'm not the same person I was a year ago, 6 months ago, even 3 months ago. And that's the beautiful part about what we're building here, is it's an evolutionary process. We're always growing because we're growth minded. We're always growing, right? Mm-hmm. We're always figuring out, how can I get better? How can I get that 1% better? If I'm getting 1% better, I'm still moving forward. At least I'm not staying stagnant or worse yet, moving backwards, right? How can I just move 1% forward? And I feel like we have done that. We are doing that, and we're going to continue to do that. And that's what I'm excited for, in the next year, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. Yep. I know that we're coming up close to time here. So if you want to give any closing thoughts, and then also maybe touch base on, a call to action, if someone is thinking like, man, this is just really resonating with me, I don't know where to start. How can they get, how can they get a hold of you?
If you do want to get a hold of me, I'd be happy to help out. You can call me or text me on my cell phone. My number is 612-978-4485. If you want to reach out to me, my email address is mike@RealFreedom. So that's RELFreedom.com. And I'd be happy to have a conversation with anybody, even if it's, just how did you do that? Or what do you think about that? I'm always open to connecting with people and helping people. That's really what I want to do, is to be able to give back. So don't be afraid. If you're watching this or listening to this later, reach out to me. Let's have a conversation. Anything else that you want to add?
Nope.
All right. Well, thanks so much, everybody, for listening. We really appreciated it. And if you have questions, reach out to us. Let us know. We'll be happy to help and happy to inspire somebody or point them in the right direction on their journey towards financial freedom. So thanks.
Thanks.